Well, let's start with India news, Aditi. We've had exam scandals here in Britain, where our government has decided to really parade its fearless incompetence to a quite extraordinary, almost Olympic level. I understand there's exam rows in India as well.
Yes, Andy. We have had we're currently in the middle of the protest against for the postponement of the JEE and NET admission exams. JEE stands for the Joint Entrance Exam, and NEET stands for the National Eligibility and Entrance Test. JEE is for engineering and architecture courses, and NEET is for medical courses. The exams are being currently scheduled for September 1st, but have already been postponed twice due to, of course, I don't know if anyone said this before on this podcast, unprecedented times. And India is currently number one, yes, thank you, at 70,000 cases a day. These are kind of like the Indian SATs, which we are currently calling the Indian WTFs. Students have protested by wearing black armbands and changing their display pictures to black, which several Indian celebrities mistook for a Black Lives Matter protest sign. After they discovered it's for our own Indians only, they changed their DPs back to something that can be jerked off to, and that's as important a service for our students as any. In fact, one of the beautiful things that emerged out of this protest is, the signs that students are holding up. And one of the students has held up a sign saying, "We want to be doctors. Please don't make us patients." And I think that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful. It's also kind of saddening because it makes me realize a lot of really creative people are going to be going into the sciences. At this point, Greta Thunberg has tweeted in support of the postponement of these exams, which is insane. It's the ultimate endorsement, because this kid spent some time ignoring exams when there was no pandemic, and it was really good for her. And there have, of course, also been floods in 3 major states in India, which is further exacerbating the problems that students have had. At this point, it's like Noah offloading all the animals from the ark and saying, "Okay guys, I don't know what the world is going to be like when we find land in terms of food or danger, but you have to enough to repopulate your entire species almost instantly. Also, no pressure, but anyone up for an exam?" At this point, what this government has done is that they are regulating the exam dates from the center, but the pandemic handling has to come from the state. And this is the ultimate form of dadness by the central government, where he's like, "Oh my God, I need to go out golfing, so I'm going to leave my kid in a car on a hot summer's day with the windows rolled up." And then the kid dies and he takes him home and shouts at the mother saying, "It probably happened because you haven't been giving him enough water. Now he's dead. Whose fault is that?" I mean, this is the education ministry doubling down on a date like a really persistent dude on Bumble that you've been chatting with but don't feel safe enough to go out with yet. And this is the thing, like rising hate, scams, lack of education won't kill us, but postponing of exams will. And look, the dates have already been shifted enough and multiple times. And they say that they have to do the exams right now because it might lead to a logjam of admissions in successive years, because medical schools have a fixed schedule. And I'm like, can we change the schedule of medical schools? Because during a 5-month pandemic, I don't know if anyone said this before, but unprecedented times, it's not like medical school schedules are unchangeable. But no. Oh my God, the academic year. I'm like, you know what? You can't spell pandemic without academic. You can. That's why I never appeared for this exam. But I guess the idea here is to let a bunch of students die in the entrance exam itself so that there'll be fewer applicants in the colleges.
This reminds me of my brother's father-in-law who, when he gets a bunch of resumes for a job, will split them in half, throw half in the bin and say, "I don't want anyone unlucky working for me."
That's so messed up.
That's what we do. It's what we do with all job interviews in Britain. It's just before we rip them in half and chuck them in the bin, we check what school and university that person went to, make sure they're made of the right stuff for this country. I mean, has there not been a thought, Aditi, to take an example from Indian cricket? The Indian Premier League cricket competition has been moved to the United Arab Emirates. Could they not just make all Indian students sit their exams in Dubai?
The reputation that we have garnered through this pandemic has been, I don't know if anyone has ever said this before, but unprecedented. So Indians before the pandemic were not super welcome anywhere else, and now I reckon it's going to get lesser. For the Indian media, this situation is a gold mine, because after the exams there will be a series of heartwarming stories about the student who was tied to a chair and had to pee in a diaper and survive off of hair and socks while being stabbed continuously in the forehead with a plastic spork, and they still managed to get 95%. This super spreader was also a super scorer, because there is literally no stone cold hearted decision of the government that the media cannot turn into a heartwarming story.